Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And let me just say a big welcome to the link. This is a link where we connect the dots between the issues, the headlines, and the people shaping our region's future. I'm your co host, Marcia Weeks. And our other host is Mr. Ernest Cook from St. Vincent Times, who will be joining us later in the program. Today, we're diving deep into conversations that matter, from politics to culture, from the streets to the corridors of power. This is where truth meets talk, and voices from across the Caribbean come together to spark awareness, action, and change. So stay with us because on the link, we don't just talk about the news, we make the connection. Once again, welcome to the link. Today, we're talking about war of words in the zone of peace. Who are the people causing this war of words in the zone of peace? Supposed to be a zone of peace. And we are going to have an update on hurricane relief in Jamaica. So get ready, guys. Get ready. Please like up the live, share up the live. This is a place of education. We are going to do some analysis as well as we wait on Mr. Ernesta Cook to join us today. War of words in the zone of peace. Is there anybody in this image that you recognize? Anybody? Who is that person on your left? Who is the person in the middle? Who is the person on the far right? They're all in this zone of peace, but we're having a war of words. And we're going to all discuss that today because it's happening in the Caribbean. And all of this is occurring because of the military presence that's right here in the Caribbean. Okay. But before we jump into that, I think it's only fitting for us to do a little update on what's happening in the region as it relates to the U.S. Military presence in the Caribbean, what's happening in Venezuela, what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, throughout the region. So what we've known so far is that the United States Southern Command, which is a SOUTHCOM, has significantly increased its military posture in the Caribbean Sea. Are you aware of that? Between last week and now, the deployment includes major naval assets such as aircraft carrier, USS Gerald R. Ford, and accompanying strike group are now entering the region. These operations are officially described as counter narcotics and anti trafficking missions, though many analysts say they mirror preparations for possible escalation. You know, the US is not going to tell us, right? So that is what has happened. Okay. Now, Trinidad and Tobago has been singled out by Venezuela for hosting U.S. military assets or warships. In one case, Venezuela claimed Trinidad and the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, coordinated a military provocation. That's what Venezuela is accusing Trinidad of, right? In Venezuela, President Maduro has repeatedly warned of a U.S. attack, mobilized the military and militias, and pledged resistance. Right? So all of that is happening. Russia has publicly condemned the U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean and reaffirmed support for Venezuela's sovereignty. In Guyana, while not heavily referenced in the latest public headlines regarding Caribbean military operations, Guyana falls within the same regional zone of U.S. Northern, South America, and Caribbean interests through SOUTHCOM's mandate, right? And there are many implications to the Caribbean with all of this happening. And you know, with what we do here on the link, we watch what is happening. So our region is no longer a backdrop in the vast U.S. war on this drugs, right? Their drugs playbook. It is a collection of what we would see as strategic pieces, from Trinidad's warship hosting to Venezuela raising its yellow and black flag of resistance. The Caribbean waters are boiling. Of course, we remember the 50 million bounty on Maduro, the arrival of the Gerald R. Ford in the Southern Caribbean, the strike on a narco submarine. These aren't just headlines. Caribbean, these are warnings, right? So we ask, is the Caribbean being drawn into a war? It didn't start. And if so, are our leaders saying zone of peace while opening the door to conflict? And I would love to say this. Let me see if our Ernesta Cook is getting ready to come to join us. Yes, he's not yet ready. But let me just say this and remind us that while the U.S. Southcom, they are ramping up the U.S. military presence in the Caribbean, we must understand the role of the RSS. We talked about the regional security system last show, and so we need to understand that the United States Southern Command would not be working entirely by itself. If it's going to come in the region, more than likely, they are working in conjunction with the Regional Security Service. Very important. So while the United States Southern Command has increased its military presence in the Caribbean Sea, it's important to note that any regional coordination would likely involve the Regional Security System, which is headquartered right here in Barbados. The RSS doesn't command U.S. forces, so we know that the RSS is not going to command U.S. sources, but it serves as a bridge for the United States Southern Command for intelligence, logistics, and communication. And it gives the U.S. a cooperative presence in the Caribbean waters without an official base. Very important. Our Caribbean leaders would not tell us that, because they don't want it to seem as though they are working in conjunction with the U.S. or they're cooperating with the U.S., but they are. With the headquarters here in Barbados, there's no way that the United States Southern Command is going to increase its military presence in the Caribbean Sea without these 7 Caribbean countries aware of what is happening. The 7 Caribbean countries include Barbados, where the RSS is headquartered, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Antigua, St. Lucia, Nevis, St. Kitts and Nevis, all of those Caribbean islands, of course, except Trinidad. I know on the surface it would seem that Trinidad would be the main country that is working with the coordination of the increased military presence in the Caribbean. But truthfully, it is not. It is a regional security system that involves 7 other Caribbean countries, with the headquarters right here in Barbados. CARICOM will never tell us this. So while Barbados and our neighbors may not be hosting a lot of this or directly involved, okay, the coordination networks that make such movements possible are right here. They're right here, located right here in Barbados. And the big question is, when will our Caribbean leaders come clean with the people in the Caribbean? When will they come clean and tell us the truth that they are involved in the coordinating networks of the increased military presence in the Caribbean? But then one would ask, do they really have a choice? Do they have an actual choice in the matter? Hopeton Robinson is saying that the entire Caribbean and South America need to come together and be one. And why are you saying that, Hopeton? You believe that that is how everything is going to be solved? But what I do agree is that there is some not telling of the truth to the Caribbean people. They are not telling us that they are involved assisting in the coordinating of the increased presence, military presence in this region. 7 Caribbean countries are involved in that because of the pact that they have with the RSS. The RSS is facilitating, coordinating. While they're not, we don't have soldiers preparing to fight with the US. But the only way they can increase their presence here is that the RSS, which is located in regional services, security services that are it's funded by the US, trained by the US, all of these Caribbean soldiers trained by the US. They are trained right here in Barbados. And we are asserting that they are, in fact, helping in the coordinating of the increase in the presence of the U.S. military presence, I should say, in the Caribbean region. So I don't know. I'm not saying that that Barbados alone is involved. I'm saying that the headquarters is here and the coordinating. I don't know if you joined me early enough. The coordinating, they are involved because there's no way that they're going to come into the region and increase their presence in the region without the coordinating help of the RSS. It's not going to happen. And truthfully, I don't think these Caribbean leaders have a say in the matter. I do not believe that they actually have a say in the matter. Yes? And I'm waiting for my wonderful co-host, Mr. Ernest Cook, to join. I know he's getting ready, and he will let me know when he's ready. Oh, he's ready. Van Vin John is saying our Caribbean leaders are weak. They want to speak up, but they are afraid, so they hide. I don't think they have a choice in this matter. They are just pretending to us. Let me bring Mr. Ernest Cook in the studio into the link. Good afternoon, Mr. Cook.
Mas, um, yeah, good evening. I'm having some issues. So yeah, I'm not sure why they've been asking me about horizontal MR this or that. I don't know what's going on today, but so I'm using my phone instead of my computer.
Uh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, but yeah, we are still in the drawers. We're still waiting to see exactly what will play out in the region in terms of whether or not there will be an escalation of the problems with Venezuela.
Hello, Mr. Cook.
Into the
Can we?
last, we see that the last. Mhm. You hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now. I'm hearing you now.
Oh, I think I had some problems there. Well, let me just make
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Right. So yeah. So
Okay, so Mr. Cook is cutting out. Mr. Cook is cutting out.
all right. I yeah. Are you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you. What's happening is that your audio is very clear, but you're cutting in and out.
Yeah, I'm not. I guess I don't know. Everything is bad today. Anyway,
Uh,
yeah,
with the StreamYard, they're asking you about a portrait or landscape, and so just click landscape,
yeah.
and
I do have the landscape, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me just let me get out and come back in.
come back in on your
Yeah.
computer.
Let me
Okay.
try. Let me try if the computer would work when I come back. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
All right. Well, Ricardo, what I am saying. Good afternoon, Ricardo. Where are you watching from? So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that while the United States Southern Command has increased its military presence in the Caribbean Sea, um, that there has to be some regional coordination that happens before that can happen. Okay, and so the regional coordination would happen through the regional security system, which is made up of military from within the Caribbean region. These are facts, and it's headquartered right here in Barbados. What I'm saying is that our CARICOM leaders would not tell us this because whatever is going to happen, they have heads up before it happens. They will have heads up before it happens. So while the RSS, that's headquartered here in Barbados and supported by these 7 Caribbean countries, and it's not an agreement that was just made in the past, the agreement is still carries to today. So why they don't command the US forces, the RSS, what it is that it's a bridge for intelligence. That's important. Logistics and communication. For the US Southern Command to be effective in the region, it needs the help of the RSS, is what I'm saying. And I'm saying this kind of transparency, we're not going to get it from our Caribbean leaders. Okay? Because what the RSS does is that it gives that corporation gives the U.S. presence in our water, basically an official base. So the official base is gained through the RSS. The RSS is going to provide intelligence, logistics, and communication. Doesn't mean that the soldiers, not at all, am I saying the soldiers are going to be fighting on behalf of the U.S., but the official base for them in the region is through the RSS. And therefore, all these 7 Caribbean countries are they're at some level. Those leaders are aware of what's going on. I'm talking about the coordination networks that would make such increased military presence possible in the region. It's right here, right here. Okay, and so that's something we can't get away with. Yeah, you're right. Ricardo, we depend on the U.S. um, for everything. We depend on the RSS. I mean, the U.S. for everything, right? Yes, it does what it does. However, that is part of what it does. Go back and look at it again, yeah. But everybody's free to their own do your own research on it. But it is what it is. It is what it is. When you take something like the U.S. submarine, it is impossible. I've spoken to people who worked in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in the region, and I've done research on that, and it's impossible for the U.S. submarine to come into our internal waters, and our Caribbean leaders are not aware. But in terms of protocol, it's impossible for that to happen. It is impossible. But our leaders What I believe is that they're doing a lot of stuff under here, and they're afraid. They're afraid to tell us, and they're just not being transparent. And it's not because they are necessarily bad people. It is that they are so in bed with the US that they can't really do anything otherwise. They can't really do anything otherwise. However, do your own research on it. But I'm telling you, this for them to come in the region, they cannot just come like this. There has to be some coordination that is happening. And based on my research, I'm seeing that the RSS is who is doing the coordination, the sharing of intelligence. Is being done by the RSS. That is what I'm seeing. Pedro said, our leaders are well aware of the U.S. foreign policy. It's Donald Trump's issue, not Republican or Democrat. That's why the Bible. Yeah. I mean, Biden was preparing. Pedro, you're correct. If you remember that we showed you last week that just before Biden left office, a large amount of money, millions of dollars, were poured into the RSS just before he left office. Why do you think they were doing that? The regional security services was endowed with a large sum of money, millions of dollars. Why was that done? That was done in 2024, just before Biden left office. When Obama was in office, actually, Obama, funded the RSS more than any president. All of this was a build-up for now. Trump is just continuing. Pedro, you've got this, Pedro. Pedro, you've got this. The U.S. foreign policy. This is about geopolitics. It's about this zone. It's all about the zone. It's not about any drug cartels. It's not about oil. It's about the zone. This Western zone, the Western Hemisphere. America is saying, no, China, you've got to step out of here. This has been ours historically. You cannot step foot in here. It's saying, Russia, don't even think about coming here. This is ours. It's what it's saying. That's really what it's all about. It's not based on my research. It's not about any drug cartels. It's not about oil. It's about stating your claim on this is our zone. Okay? This is our zone. And what I'm saying is that the Caribbean leaders, whether in their hearts, they might not agree with it, but on paper and in coordinating, they are part of the coordination because they cannot do any better. This has always been America's playground. It's always been theirs. This area, the Caribbean, has always had a strong relationship with the U.S. And U.S. is saying, China, where you doing? Where you going? Where you coming? This is ours. Yeah. Yes, and you're correct. Trinidad is involved because, and this is my view on it. Don't necessarily have to agree with me on this. Trinidad is involved, sir. You're correct. Trinidad is involved by choice. And the reason I believe that Trinidad is involved by choice, I personally don't believe it's anything to do with any narcotics. Trinidad knows that war is coming. They're only a few kilometers away from Venezuela. They did not sign the pact, the military defense pact with the US, okay, in the 80s. They did not. They're not joined into the regional security services. And it is my view that because of that, Trinidad's prime minister, is a very, very, very smart woman, decides that, oh my goodness, we've got to get protection if this happens. We're not part of this pact. Trinidad nor Jamaica were ever part of the pact. So Trinidad, and I believe that's why she is making these over the top comments publicly to show, that she's overly in support of the US, because all of the islands need protection. And the seven, they through the RSS there, and that military pact that was signed in the 80s, they are already connected to the US and have the US protection. But Trinidad doesn't. Yeah. No. What I'm saying is that I've said on the show before that the RSS is funded by the US, and the RSS is trained by the US. That's a fact. That's a fact. And if the US is going to increase its military presence in the Caribbean, it needs an official base. And the official base deals with coordination, intelligence, sharing intelligence, and the RSS is their official base. The RSS is made up of the military throughout the region, but it's basically funded by the US. So that is what I'm saying, and that is what the history shows us, and all the documentation shows that. Yeah. Now, Wes, I agree that the US is really about themselves. So I'm not here advocating for the US. All I'm saying is that, right? All I'm saying is that I'm just stating what the US is saying, or how the leaders might be thinking. I am in agreement with you that the US is really all about themselves, right? I just believe that it's important that as Caribbean people that we understand what is happening, and we don't just listen to the regular press. Go and do your own research, right? And so you understand what is happening, because a lot of what we're saying here, you are not going to hear it. You are not going to hear it from the regular press. And the CARICOM leaders are not going to make it clear. And that is one of the reasons why you see Grenada to this day hasn't come out clear to say what they're going to do. Correct, Sharon. Yes, correct, Mia. They have to obey and bow, all of them. All of them. So while we are out there cursing Kamla, right, and all of that because of the rhetoric and so on, but guess what? Your own leader is doing the same thing. It's just that they're not doing it public. They're not saying it publicly. Right, Tanisha? That's it. Now, that's the thing, Pedro. And they are not going to say it to us. You're going to find the leaders with the big and pompous setting and saying what they think we want them to say. But underneath, they know that all the leaders are behaving just like the Grenada prime minister. All of them. Yeah. US have them held by the neck. They can't come out. They can't come out and do anything really. They've got to go up to the US for those IMF meetings. All US has to do is to take the visas from them. They are, I'm telling you, these leaders are very, very weak. Very weak. Yes. And this is what I'm saying, Anne Marie. I'm not here promoting the US. I'm against what they're doing. They think that this is their backyard, and our leaders are allowing them. all these years to control them. That the position of Grenada right now, with that prime minister of Grenada not being able to say a word, is really the position of all of the Caribbean leaders. Those seven can't do anything. As Anne-Marie says, the RSS is just like AFRICOM. I don't know much about African, but she's saying our Caribbean leaders are too lazy and lack testicular fortitude to put America in their place. A bunch of lackeys, and the Caribbean must understand the bigger picture. Yes, they are not just weak. I agree with Pedro. They are not just weak, they're also deceitful. Yes, they are not weak, they are deceitful. And I agree with you, Ricardo. They're funded, they're trained, but they don't have much say. And that's the point I'm making. However, our weak and deceitful leaders will never say the part that we are playing. Don't just look at the surface, guys. If military presence is going to come in this region, they have to get permission. There has to be an official base that they're operating from. It's not just going to happen like that. Keep that in your head. When we are going to start to quarrel with our leader, with this leader and that leader, against that one and against that one, they are all the same. Weak beggars they are. They all are. And that is the point I want to get over to us Caribbean people, wherever we're watching from. So here it is. We're going to get caught up in this war that seemed like something is going to happen. And our leaders have no power to protect us. None. We have no say in the matter. And then when you think about it, a lot of the leaders are so heavily indebted to China. Can you imagine the state that what we're in for, guys? I would just take Jamaica, the country I was born in. Look at how indebted Jamaica is to China. What is a country like Jamaica going to do? Look at Barbados. Driving around here when all the public transportation, the buses, with a big Chinese writing on the buses. Huh? What are we going to do? You are so correct. Our economies, our economies are, as you said, are tied up with the US. So she made an economic choice. Yeah. You know, President Jafar, they could have stayed neutral, but you're right, they could have stayed neutral. But the thing though that I would ask you, would it be wise? Would it have been wise? See? Someone is, yeah. Don't fool yourself that Guyana is not involved. What? Oh, agree. But the point is that we do not have leaders that are going to stand up flat footed and defend us. They can't actually. They just can't. They don't have anything to negotiate with. We don't even provide our own food, as Mr. Cook was saying, and Mr. Cook is trying to get in today. Yeah, these same we need to have a whole show on that, Pedro. I'm gathering the information on that. These same Chinese buses that are in Barbados and in other parts of the Caribbean, the Chinese, whoo, Mr. Cook is here. The Chinese can control these electric buses remotely. We've seen that in is it Denmark and in and what's the other country? There in Europe. Somebody help me. I didn't bring all of that information. Yes, Mr. Cook, are you ready to jump in? Okay, give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Yes, wonderful. I think he's ready. Good afternoon, sir. Okay, he's working on his sound, so let him work on the sound. Yeah, let him work on the sound. Let's see. Good afternoon.
You hear me now?
Yes, we're
Okay.
hearing you, Mr. Cook. Ah, thank
Yeah,
God. Thank
we have
God you're here. You're here.
we
You're
have
here.
serious problems today. um, yeah, it happens like that every now and then. The devil pops up. Um,
Yes.
yeah. So well, I hear you on the discussion there about the issue of the leaders. Um, I don't know if you can refresh me back because I kind of lost audio every now and
Yes,
then.
right.
So
So yeah, what I was speaking about, Mr.
yes,
Cook, is that the southern I'm sure you know that the United States Southern Command that they have increased their military presence in the Caribbean Sea, even
absolutely
right, and that it's important to know that the regional security system, which is headquartered right here in Barbados, that while it doesn't command the U.S. Forces, it's not in charge,
correct,
and we might not have any soldiers there. I'm going to be fighting, but it serves as a bridge for intelligence, things like intelligence, logistics, and communication.
correct.
And but I was saying that that we will never hear that from our CARICOM leaders, of the involvement of the RSS, because for the US to increase its military presence in the Caribbean, there has to be some official base here. And
Yes,
so a cooperative presence then here that is facilitating them. So I was just saying that our CARICOM leaders, we're not going to hear that side of it from them because they really can't do any better. They don't have any control over it really because of
that's
what we
correct.
signed. Yeah. But let me
But you,
turn it over to you.
but you are correct in what you're saying. They have they have little to no control. They can sound like big bad bullies inside of in their own countries, but either way, there's really little that they can do. The reason why there's little that they can do is because we are not, and I keep going back to this point all the time. People keep telling me that I'm harping on this point. But this is the point, this is the bone of contention if we are to really do anything at all. If we are not a block, there's nothing that we can do. Absolutely nothing we can do. And so if we continue fighting as individual countries instead of a block, then we are going to always find ourselves being manipulated, whether by the United States of America, or whether by Russia, or whether by China. The bigger powers that have the money will continue to play us. That is because we do not have an anchor. What is the anchor? You will ask me. The anchor is the populations. We're about 44 million strong in the Caribbean, I think, or maybe a little over. So we are not really, we don't, so we have 44 million people, I believe, I think altogether. If we were to use that, if we were to use that as leverage, we could have been a significant player in the block, in the world. And we're not doing that. And that's because we can't come together. So here we are. Um, we say, yeah, so we are 44.7 based on the last stats. We are 44.7 million people as of November 2025. That is enough to form a very distinct bloc with our own currency, our own parliament, all of that kind of stuff. If we could have done that, and I'm talking about the region, those countries, English speaking, Caribbean, because there's some Spanish speaking countries, French speaking, they may not want to get involved with us because of France and stuff like that. And the US, of course, in Puerto Rico, Cuba on its own. But outside of that, where we have the region, the countries here, from Trinidad all the way, stretching all the way up, even Guyana from the start, I believe that if we were to do that, we've been a significant player on the world scene. We could have talked about currencies. We could have talked about like how the European Parliament, all of that would have been good, but we didn't. We didn't do that. We didn't do that, and so here we are. Here we are today suffering, and here we are today where people are playing on us and they're taking advantage of us because of this situation. They're taking advantage of us, whether it's the United States of America, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, everybody is taking advantage of us. And that is because we are not a significant player. We are not a block anymore. We are not significant enough. And so we play as Barbados on its own. We play as Trinidad on its own, St. Vincent on its own. Everybody is on their own. And because everybody's on their own, with little to no resource to back that, that is where the problem is coming from. Can St. Vincent go say they're putting up a provocation against the US? No, they don't have an army. They can't do that. Can Barbados do that? No, they don't have an army. Can Trinidad do that? As much as they say that they have over a million people, they still can't do that because you don't have the backing to do it. And that is the problem that we're facing in the Caribbean. There's no real unity. CARICOM continues to be a talk shop. Look at how this little issue between Venezuela and the US has turned out to be. Look at what has happened to us because of that issue between the United States and Venezuela. Look at how many CARICOM leaders almost went gunning after each other. You heard Antigua Prime Minister saying that Trinidad is probably breaking the treaty, some treaties because they want to slap on some stuff on some goods. Then you have Ralph Gonsalves saying Kamla is misguided. Then you have Kamla hitting back saying, well, we could look for people outside of CARICOM, displaced in a zone of peace. So I'm just trying to show people there's no real effort to really make, to me, CARICOM, and I'll say this all the time, people could get vexed all they want. CARICOM is a talk shop, hardly any teeth. It can really do nothing much. They've accomplished some stuff during their period of time. But the real crux of the matter, for us to really go and punch with a weight on the international scene, that set of people, 44 million minus those from Martinique and maybe Guadeloupe who may not want to join such a clan, right? As people say, we could have done better, but nobody is interested in such things. Everybody's interested in being a master on their own plantation as they see it. Some want to spend 20 years in power, someone 25, someone 18, someone 50. So it's just a whole hullabaloo we have going around wrong here. So you're very correct, Marcia, when you say nobody's going to really stand up for us because we don't have the might to do that. Whether we're not together as in population, as a bloc, we're not together as in a one currency where we can say this currency is strong because of the amount of persons we have within the amount of trade we're doing. We don't have that. We have 44 million people, and like I say, minus those two countries or whatever. We could have a military if we were a bloc because we had enough people to be a military. We have a lot of things that we could have really punched when we go on the international scene with real weight. But we're not going to be doing that anytime soon because everybody wants to be a plantation owner on their plantation. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So well said, and so well said. And I think I really feel I feel a sense of responsibility,
Yes,
Mr.
yes,
Cook,
yep,
that we can use this platform to truly educate our people about what is going on. Because if our intelligence and communication channels are linked to the US military systems, the question is, do Caribbean people truly control what happens in our airspace and waters? Or
right.
are we just being informed after the fact? And we need to understand, because if we watch the posturing of our leaders, we would not realize that we have no control. We have leaders, but these leaders have no say, no control about what happens in our airspace and waters. And so we have to think, how long? They could talk about zone of peace all they want,
Yep,
Mr. Cook.
yep,
How long is this going to last for, when there's a diplomatic tightrope around their necks?
yes,
Because on one hand, they rely on the US for security funding, intelligence, and disaster support. That's a fact,
yes.
Mr.
It
Cook,
is. It
right?
is a
On the other hand, they want to, to say, okay, we're against the US doing this, and they could. That's only on paper. But if war or confrontation, truly was to break out in the region, I guarantee this neutrality that they're projecting, it's going to collapse overnight. And
yeah,
that's what I'm proud that we are able to share that with our Caribbean brothers and sisters.
yeah. Well, you're correct about that again. It actually could collapse overnight. Anything it actually could collapse overnight. Zone of peace. You could wake up on Monday morning and you hear their bombs are flying everywhere. So it actually can collapse overnight, and you're very correct about that. And with the collapse of that, you'll have the collapse of economies in the region. And
Mhm.
with that also, you will have people going cap in hand with a begging bowl again to the World Bank
Correct.
and the IMF, putting us more in problems again. We talk about independence. We really, the word independence is just a word and a phrase in time to make us all feel as if we are somebody. So when the UK left us after they raided our countries, took all the wealth, the resources, damaged our people, whether mentally, physically, just psychologically. After that, they said, you are now independent. That is just to make you feel as if, well, you have achieved something, but you really have not achieved anything, because if you go through the many of the constitutions, they're still dictated by what England left for us. We have not really modernized most of them. So we really running off our old playbook from the colonizers, which have not really changed much. We've made some amendments here and there to certain things, but we're really still playing off the playbook. Somebody also said that somebody talk about EU and stuff like that, and you don't want to take that model because it's corrupt and dictatorial. The thing
Mhm.
about us here in the region, we have models that we can look at. That's the thing about coming late to any game. You have models that have gone before and have been used that you can look at. You can see the pitfall, you can see the advantages, and you can, of course, build around that, because
Mhm.
you now have those things to look at. You don't have to make the same mistakes because you've seen what happened before with other models. And that's the thing about coming late to any game. You know what happened before, so you can deal with it. Once you are a block, you can trade in a different manner than if you are a single entity. That's a fact.
Mhm.
So people may want to say that you shouldn't run the EU way, or if you think the EU can actually tell America what to do and all of that. The reason why Donald Trump has to work with the EU is because they are a bloc, and they are a powerful bloc. The euro dollar, some days you go to the bank, the euro dollar is showing way above the US dollar. You get more for it than you get for the US dollar. So people have to learn to understand the dynamics at play, and try and read for themselves sometimes. Get it real information, not just things from a few videos here and there, TikTok and whatever foolishness. We have to understand, like I said. But you are correct, Marcia. How long will the zone of peace last? That can collapse overnight, and like you said, we don't have any real people to really stand up for us in terms of leadership. And I am saying again, if we don't unite, if we don't have a block, we are going nowhere in this Caribbean of ours. So here, what we have to do now, it means that we as a people have to educate ourselves, know how to create wealth for ourselves, see through all the bull crap from politicians, and just as you say, educate yourself so that you can expand your horizons, because you can't really wait on politicians. You can't wait on these politicians. So education is the key. You have to know where you came from. You have to know what your problems were back then. You have to know how you want to push forward as an individual, or if you have a family. Outside of that, you will be living in squalor and just being here, being turned around each day by politicians. So that is part of that. And then you have this cabal that start up with Ralph and
Yep.
Anil, and you have Rowley being thrown into the fray, and you have Kamla thrown into the fray. I mean, this whole shebang is. It comes at a time when we have an election in St. Vincent. So a lot of the discussion here is why now?
Why not? But let's give the people.
Mhm.
Let me give them a little. I kind of put it all together here for them, just a little bit, and then we can, and then you can
No problem, no problem, no
you
problem.
take it away, right? So, a war for those of you, unless you've not been following social media, in the last couple of days, there's been a war. There has been a war of words that has erupted between key Caribbean leaders. I would say Ralph Gonsalves, Kamla of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, Keith Rowley, and Anil Roberts, right? As political allegations are being thrown all around, corruption claims and foreign policy disputes spill across all of these borders. So you have Trinidad and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? So the whole thing started as a debate over U.S. military presence in the Caribbean. This has now turned into a full-blown political storm, and where people are questioning people's integrity, sovereignty, and regional unity, right? And so Gonzalez called TNT's stance with the US misguided. I don't know if anybody saw that in the press, warning that such cooperation with the US could destabilize the region and compromise the Caribbean's long-standing identity as a zone of peace. And in a response, TNT Prime Minister defended our government's position, saying that Trinidad and Tobago faces the usual thing she says, faces serious threats from drugs, gun, and human trafficking, and that cooperation with the U.S. allies is necessary for national security. All right. And then here comes Anil Roberts, right? And I'm going to state what he says and then turn it over to my St. Vincent and Grenadines brother. So Anil Roberts brings into this controversy, the Housing and Development Corporation controversy. In his daily Doubles and Coffee live stream, Minister Anil Roberts accused Gonzalez and his family of benefiting from political favors. He's alleging that three housing development apartments, corporation apartments at the upscale Victoria Keys development were quietly allocated to the Gonzalez, his wife Eloise, and their children Storm and Soleil. Roberts is claiming that thousands of citizens are waiting on HDC accommodation, yet one family received 3 luxury apartments. He's further alleging that one rent-to-own approval was signed 2 days after the 2025 general election, during the interim period before the new government was sworn in, calling it the most egregious red flag. Now I'm going to ask my co-host, Mr. Cook, take it away and give the defense that Gonzalez is giving in his
Well,
response.
Well, Marcia, it's not really, it's not even a defense, really. I mean, it's it's answering what people are saying that doesn't make much sense.
Mm,
Um, the question is, how do you move from Ralph? Because his opening bat was to say,
mm,
"Oh, you want to talk about Kamla saying this is not a zone of peace." So how do you move from Kamla and a zone of peace to people's private business? That is what I want to understand. So clearly, he didn't. He had no interest in speaking about anything with zone of peace, right?
mm,
Because if I were a Trinidadian politician and I wanted to answer Ralph about zone of peace, I wouldn't have to answer Ralph by going into Ralph's private business, because that's gone into a different realm now. So first of all, let's get it out of the way that he didn't have any interest in dealing with any zone of peace thing. I don't even think, when I listen to him, I could clearly see that he doesn't even have the brain power to deal with political matters. It most sounds to me he should be in a talk show instead of being politics,
mm,
because he clearly doesn't sound as if he have the brain power to be a politician. That's number one. To me, that's just me personally. But you can't move from a zone of peace and run into somebody's private business. But either way, he already said what he had to say, right?
mm,
And it comes at a time here when you're having an election. So you have to ask yourself the question. And I asked somebody yesterday, because it has been going on and the rumors have been flying about left, right, and center in St. Vincent. So what has been promised to Mr. Roberts? Was anything promised to him from the NDP in the Grenadines if they win an election? So that is something that has been floating around in St. Vincent between a lot of people who are in places that should know about these things, right? So it's a question Mr. Roberts has to answer, and I believe it will come up very soon from the leadership of this country.
mm-hmm.
So he will have to answer that one. And if
Yes.
probably if he wants to play mirror around with that, they may have to bring something out in the open for everybody to see.
Mm,
Right? But I'm gonna leave that for people to deal with politics. That's not my business. But the point about it is that here we are bringing in people's business, private business, into the public domain. Now, that is, when I look at this whole thing, that is a serious breach of people's privacy, and it is politically motivated defamation right there. That's what it is.
mm,
Now, if you follow the logic, we now know that the prime minister's wife is a Trinidadian. We now know children are Trinidadian by descent because of their mother. Now, this whole thing now basically not only damages, I would say, Gonsalves' reputation, because it's now in a election season that is good fever for our opposition party to run with, but it also violates the constitutional rights of his family members, because his wife is a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, which the constitution protect their privacy. This is not a court matter we are in to say you will have to bring it up because you're inside of a court, which is a legal thing where these things have to be fleshed out, right? That is fine. There, you understand these matters being fleshed out in a court. But when you bring it into the public domain, which is not a legal court, which is not a court matter, that is where you're breaching their constitutional right, and that now becomes a legal matter for defamation
illegal.
and all
Well,
other things.
well, if I may jump in here and say that they are saying in Trinidad, bring on the legal fight. The Prime Minister of Trinidad is saying, bring it on. Because I mean, they in their minds they have
Mhm.
all the information. I did speak with someone from Trinidad
Yeah.
this morning, and what they're saying is that what that it's unusual
Hmm.
for one family to
Yes.
benefit
Hmm.
from three houses. They're saying that this is not what normally happens.
Right.
Okay. That it's unusual, and there's some of these things that are a bit unusual about this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because I tried to do my own digging, and that's what I came up so far with. He told me that he will have a conversation with me a little later, and I'm trying to talk to people in both from both political parties. Okay. And so far I've just spoken to someone from one party, and they're saying that there's an unusual nature about it, in that it's unusual for three members of one family to have benefited, while there are so many other families that are waiting. So it's interesting, to say the least. And the only antidote, the only way of winning a defamation case being brought
Mhm.
against you is truth. You
No,
can
but
always
but
go to
you
court, but
see,
if you provide truth, what you gonna
no,
do?
yeah, but you see, there's a problem here. There is a problem here. It will end up in the court, Marcia, whether you like it or not. You know
Yeah,
why? Because he himself will find himself in problem. You do not bring people's private business, which is protected under the Constitution, in the public domain.
but hold a minute there, Ernesto. If
Even
they,
if it is
Mhm.
listen, no. But here I'm saying, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Even if it is an unusual thing for have one family having that, that is a matter which can be probed as in an investigation. And if you find wrongdoing, you as a government send the respective parties information via whether the lawyers are not, and that ends up in a court. That is not for me and you to know. And the reason why it's not for me and you to know is because when you look at those documents, they have people who have not bought the houses. Their addresses are also on that. That now places people in a security risk. This is a wife of a sitting prime minister goes to a country to see her mother. Okay, so nobody knows where she lives. Now you're telling the public where the prime minister's wife usually be, or a daughter or a son. That is a security risk for a sitting prime minister. Again, Trinidad is on the wrong side of history in doing things. They are doing things wrong again. Not only Kamla, but you have a minister doing nonsense now.
Right. But
That is a
can I just,
security risk.
yeah, but
And remember, and
mhm.
remember, no, I am looking at this all how, because I have no issue speaking to the political side of it. If people say, remember, you have not found Gonzalez' name on a document, you have not proven that he's corrupt. But the perception that you're giving to people is that he is corrupt. That is the
Correct.
perception that you're giving to people. And you can find yourself in court.
Yeah, but
A man has a wife, a man
Mr.
has a
Cook,
wife, a man has a wife who has a
yeah,
business and has been working. She has her own money. He
yeah.
has a son who has his own company and who can buy a house if he wants to. He has a daughter who's married to a Trinidadian who is working. What are you telling me? It means, Marcia, that you could go to Trinidad, buy a house, and if somebody don't like you, they bring your private business in the public domain to say because of something. That is absolutely wrong. If there is wrongdoing, and I am saying this clearly, if there is wrongdoing, it is a matter for the court, not for the public domain. You're
Mhm.
putting people's lives at risk. And the form which the prime minister's wife found with a bank, there's her brother's address in Trinidad, another brother's address in Trinidad. Now these people are not involved in the buying of houses. You're putting these people's lives at risk. Why
But
would you do that?
yeah, so can I just jump in there, Mr. Cook? And I think you're raising very important points, and it's something that I see people do these kinds of things all the time, because people are trying to score political points,
Yes.
etc. But if I can also say this though, and I have to say, because I am contacting people in Trinidad in positions, people who are who were in government and they're no longer, people from both parties. As I said, I'm trying my best to talk to all of them, and I'm saying this though, that while those that information is correct, and I agree with you in the way that it is being put out with the addresses and so on, that it has left much to be desired. If it is true that
Yeah.
the normal thing is that those houses are not given three to a family, it says that there is some smell of corruption there, and therefore he, as minister of housing, he has all rights to raise it. I do agree with the people's information in the public and so on. I am in total agreement with that. But I'm also trying to bring a little balance to it, that if there is corruption,
Mm-hmm.
if, and the big question, the big word is if, capital I, capital F, I don't know. If there is corruption, then it needs to be public. Because here it
Yes.
is, you're talking
Yes.
about a leader, but we don't know. And that's why it would be great if it goes to the court. Because then, if they have information, the only way to get out of a defamation case is to provide the truth.
Yes, and all of that I agree with. And again, I will come back to my main point. What sort of government are you running in a country, right, where your minister could come, place people's private information, banking records, deeds, this, in the public domain without a trial if you think there is corruption? What kind of government are you running? And to say that you back your minister in doing that. These people are sick people and need their head examined. That is not how you run a government. It is not how you run a government. It is wrong by all standards. You can't have a minister, if a minister in his portfolio goes through records and say, hold a minute here, something doesn't look right. How could one person end up with this? No, man, something ain't look right here. Okay, I see the information. This is how civilized government works. I see the information. Something doesn't look right. Okay. First thing I do, not even I alert the parties to it. I say to my people in my ministry, something is not right here. We have to look into this. This seems to be something, I don't know what it is yet, but I think something could be off here. So I take the documents, I take them to the necessary person, which is the HDC, and I say to them, look, I found this and I think something is wrong. Could you launch a probe into it? The HDC come back and say to me as a minister, Mr. Minister, it appears something is off here. So, okay, fine. What does the HC do then? What does the HDC do then? Okay, builds a case, informs the minister, and then the minister says, well, it looks like we may have to hand this over to the police as well, because there's something doesn't look right here. At that point in time, the HDC or the government inform the parties who they feel have done something wrong that, look, we have a matter, we found some discrepancy which we think can lead to, and we are looking into it. Please be on notice. And then your police look into your matter. And if your police find corruption, they say, well, we now have to solve them with something to go to the court because we find some sort of corruption and you seem to be at the center of it along with other people. That is how civilized governments operate. You don't take people's private banking information, checks, this and that, and put it on the internet without a valid legal case in the court as yet. That is wrong. And I am saying that no civilized government operates that way unless you have some political axe to grind, giving somebody an advantage in an election year in St. Vincent and Grenadines. Kamla could say all she wants about she don't care about no election in St. Vincent. Well, maybe you don't care, but it appears that your minister have a great interest in it.
Yeah.
That is all I have to say.
And again, you are correct on that. And one of the things that Anila said, Trinidad is saying, the government is saying, is that, well, the son, one of the sons, will also have to answer in court. Did he when he signed, was it fraud? So what I'm saying is that this thing, all of this here that is presented out there, I think it would be really good if it gets to the law courts, so that it will all be clear whether there has been corruption or not. Okay, he's a minister of housing. What kind of documentation does he have? What does what does Prime Minister Gonsalves and his family have in terms of documentation? And let's take it to the court. But what is sad is that in the midst of, look at what we were just
well, Marcia.
Yes.
Marcia,
hold a minute before you go further.
Go
we have the people from Jamaica who are in the they've been trying to get in, and I see Pastor Mary Wildish is here. And
okay.
what they're planning to do is to do to give us an idea of what is happening in Jamaica. We read the hurricane relief there. So let me just check if they're ready. Good afternoon, Mary Wildish.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. We're good. I'm Marcia Weeks, and my co-host, I'm in Barbados, and my co-host, Mr. Ernesta Cook, is in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I know you're in Jamaica, and we're just really delighted to have you and hope you can give us some idea of what is happening in Jamaica on the ground there. Read the hurricane relief.
Absolutely. I know the reception might be a bit bad, just due to the fact that all of our infrastructure and phone systems are not
Yes.
that up and running. So can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear. We can't see you, but I guess you're trying to preserve bandwidth.
Yes, because if I turn on the camera, you're probably not going to be able to hear me. I can try.
No, no, no. Don't mess it. Well, you could try. If there's a problem, then we can always
Hi, how are you? I'm out here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. We're hearing you. We're
So we're
definitely hearing you.
sites at
Ah, yes. We can see you and hear you.
Yes, fantastic. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. And we are, tell us where are you right now? Tell us where you're located right now.
Okay, I'm located in Montego Bay, St. James, and currently I'm at the church, which we have turned into a hurricane relief center. So I'm
Uh-huh.
here in the midst of hundreds of people, pastors, and we are working to get aid out to the most needy communities in this area and in the surrounding areas, all the way to St. Elizabeth, Falmouth.
Yeah.
I could turn the camera around, I could show you we've been able to, by the grace of God, reach about 46 different areas outside of Montego Bay with aid.
Well, you could turn the camera around, and so you said 46 different areas. Can you
Yeah.
tell us what was happening in those areas? And let us see what you're doing there.
Okay. It's technically, how do I turn the camera around? That's all. Well, basically, let me get behind here. If you can see this map right here.
Yes, yes, we can see the map.
Right. So in the map, this area right here,
Yes,
from
ma'am.
right through to this third of Jamaica was the worst hit by the hurricane. So a
Yes.
third of the island was absolutely devastated by the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica experienced a Category 5 hurricane before, and it was brutal. The south of the island, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Black River, it is flattened. And when I say flattened, I mean flattened. People have lost everything. Here in St. James, we had so much loss of home, loss of, I mean, the stories are unbelievable. We had in James, one of the riverbanks broke and it flooded into an area called Catherine Hall and West Green. And people were trapped in their homes. And when the riverbanks broke and flooded, it broke the sewage. And
Mm.
waters began to rise right up till people were trapped in their homes up to their chest and neck level. And during a Category 5 hurricane, they had to try to get out from their homes to a neighbor that had an upstairs area just to live. We had a family that was buried there, crouched in the bathroom, trying to save their life, but actually lost their life because they weren't able to get out. So, to be honest, the loss is devastating. I'm learning a lot. Never been through anything like this, but I'm learning that the first stage of relief really is food and water. All of our infrastructure went down. That means
Mm.
no water, no electricity, no internet. In James, beginning to get back water in certain areas, and a few areas have electricity. So there's still a real shutdown of infrastructure. I'm standing here. We're working with Operation partnering with the World Health Kitchen and other NGOs.
Can you repeat? Can you repeat? Who are you partnering with?
We're partnering with the Operation Blessing,
Operation Blessing.
And they have been amazing. The hurricane hit on a Tuesday, and they were in Jamaica on Thursday morning, and in Montego Bay on Thursday morning, feeding the people. So from this hub, which you can see here, a makeshift kitchen, and the light is kind of difficult to see everything.
Yes.
But ground right here, about 4,000 people are being fed with hot meals daily.
Wow, 4,000.
4,000, yes.
How do you? I mean, how do you take the food to the people, or they come to you?
4,000 people come here a day.
What?
Through World Health Kitchen, they come, and through Operation Blessing, they come all the way from Westmoreland, up in the mountains of St. James, Falmouth, down towards Negril. They come with their cars and they get hot food every day and water. And then now we're developing a strategy. We're working through the pastors and regions where we're sending out care packages to pastors. So let's say we're going to go up into Catadupa. We've been into Betheltown today. We've reached about 26 regions so far, getting care packages. So like the care package today is a bag of food, which includes like rice, sugar, oats, canned goods, applesauce, stuff like that, and a bucket of cleaning supplies.
Yes.
And we will give that to the pastors, and then they take that up into their regions and distribute to begin to rebuild. So many people have lost their homes, their roofs. But the first phase I've learned is food, water, and medication. And then once people become food secure and they know that they can eat and drink, then slowly we begin to transition into the next phase, which is rebuilding, helping people to rebuild their homes.
Wow. This is amazing. I can't imagine feeding 4,000 people a day, Pastor Wildish. That is, you know what we didn't get? I know you're working in conjunction with Operation Blessing and also with World Health Kitchen. Tell me the name again of your church that's organizing this.
The name of the church is called Trumpet Call Ministries.
Trumpet Call Ministries. And this is so that, okay.
So we lost part of our roof. Our whole ceiling is down. So we've turned our sanctuary into a food warehouse. And just here working with Operation Blessing. Actually right behind me is Jorge. Jorge, come here. This is Jorge.
Hi, Jorge.
Manager for Blessing. And they are the ones that have made all of this happen in Montego Bay. This is StreamYard, a Caribbean network. Why don't you talk to Jorge for a second?
Yes, Ore, I want to just, I'm Jamaican born actually, Ore, and I'm in Barbados, and people are watching from St. Vincent, from Trinidad, throughout the Caribbean region at this moment, and I just want to say to you, thank you on behalf of the Caribbean for being there and for bringing aid to Jamaica. How can Caribbean people who are listening help Operation Blessing, to help Trumpet Call Ministries, to help the 4,000 people get food, water, and medication? How can we help you?
Yeah, sure. So for the folks back home, they can go online at ob.org. That's O as in operation, B as in blessing.org. And yeah, they can join our efforts. We're not just doing food and water, we're doing hygiene kits, we're doing cleaning supplies for homes. We're looking into doing tarp and possibly later even some rebuild and helping business back to the working force also. So it's very important.
So if they go to ob.org, they will be able to find the ways on how they can assist.
Not only that, but they're also able to see our news stories and the stories of the people on the ground, not just our end, but survivors as they tell us their stories and the difficulties that they're having and going through and how we're helping them get better.
Yes, 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 yes. So this is one of the reasons that I wanted this to happen, because a lot of people are, they're trying to find legitimate ways in which to help Jorge. And so if you notice on the screen, I have ob.org. Am I correct? Is that what you're saying?
Do you mind repeating the? Can you mind repeating the question? I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, okay. If you look on the screen, it says ob.org. Is that where they can go to find ways on how they can assist?
Yep, I see that's in the screen right now, ob.org. And yeah, if it's in your heart to help the people in Jamaica, make sure to go there and you'll be making a difference today, instantly. As you join our efforts, instantly you're going to be making a difference here on the ground.
Instantly. So, guys, you hear that? Join Operation Blessings. Join World Health Kitchen and Trumpet Call Ministries. You can see with your eyes that they're at the location where they're cooking the food for the people. And a lot of you have been wanting to help directly. Look at what they're doing. 4,000 persons are being fed daily there. They're
Yep.
actually doing the work, guys.
So our
Go to ob.org and yes, go ahead, Jorge. You're telling me something.
Thank you. Our mission really is to strengthen the ministry and God's kingdom here in Jamaica and allowing pastors to have the necessary tools to help their instant community, their immediate community. So from here, we're delivering meals to hundreds to pastors that are in the most affected areas. And Pastor Mary has been crucial in that mission. So she's been connecting us to the pastors that need them most. And yeah, we're sending food in the hundreds alongside with water, hygiene kits, all the supplies that I mentioned before straight into the communities daily. We haven't stopped since the day after the hurricane, and we're not planning to stop anytime soon. So your support is really going to allow this mission to keep on moving forward.
Yeah. Let me speak back to Miss. Thank you so much again on behalf of Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. Is Mary Wildish there?
Yeah, she's still
Present?
here.
Yes. May
Yes,
I just have a yes? Thank you so much, Jorge. Please, and stay safe. Stay safe. We
bless you.
appreciate it.
All right. God bless you.
Yes, yes. So, Mary, I just want to say, I just want to commend you, for what you are doing, and want to say that we want to keep, I'm going to keep in touch with you guys, and to see how we can continue, to know what is happening there. But your final comments, I want you to tell us. What's your assessment on what is happening on the ground? Are we almost over this thing, in
No,
terms of the relief? Talk to me.
absolutely not. I wish we were. Um, people, I'm amazed every day at the need, the continued need. And every day we go into a community that has received no aid. So we'll go out saying, let's go up into this area today, thinking that they've had aid and no aid is there. So we're not over this hump yet. And we need to keep pressing. We need to keep, it's incredible what the NGOs are doing. Operation Blessing is a credible organization. They are every cent that is going to them getting to the people here. But we think, we've made progress. Let's put it that way. But we all need to band together as a nation and continue to help people to get their initial needs of food and water met to get over this first stage.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I
Great.
see
It's a great
Pastor
work.
Rhone is there. Yes, I see Pastor Rhone is there. And so what we're going to have a talk with him and continue to ask people to go to this website, so that they can donate. Thank you so much, Mary Wildish.
All right.
Keep doing,
Thank you.
keep up the good work. Thank you. Yes. Bye-bye. Let me see. Ernesto, are you still there? Ernesto? Not sure. Pastor Rhone, are you there?
Yes, but it's very, very choppy.
Very, very choppy. Okay. Wow. All right. So let's see, even if just a couple of minutes, what is it that you want to say, to the people from the Caribbean who are watching? Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have people from Antigua, different places. What do you want to say to them, Pastor Rhone?
I want to say to them that now more than ever, We really do appreciate any and all support that comes into Jamaica to help the people of Jamaica. Been into the communities where houses have been flattened and have been turned into rubble. We've been in the where people's homes have been turned into just a wall of mud. And right now, any help and every help that comes in, is really appreciated because, a lot of people really do need help right now.
Yes, yes, yes. And what is the worst that you have seen there in Saint Elizabeth in that area? What a Black River is, we consider that to be ground zero. What's the worst that you've seen? Might be having some problems there because the internet Mr. Cook is very, very tough to get proper. I know that Starlink was seeking to help them there. Any comments, Mr. Cook, of what you've seen and what you've heard? You're muted. You're muted, Mr. Cook.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Yes.
I just wanted to give them the time to say what they have to say uninterrupted. That's so I am still with the people of Jamaica. Solidarity, like I said before in a previous program, I would have reached out to certain individuals I know, and I would have talked to certain persons who would have been able to help them in Jamaica. So I've made my contribution. But I just wanted these people to just who just our guests that came on to just get the time so that they can explain it without interruption, really.
Yes.
So, but I am hopeful that everything will soon. Well, it will take a while because St. Vincent didn't suffer much fate from burial like that, and it took almost 2 years to really go in
Wow.
almost to push yourself now because 2024 July to 2025 July and still going on with people where there's some people who still have not been back on their feet properly yet. So you can see how long it took St. Vincent still to go. So and they did not get the Cat 5 as Melissa had walked to Jamaica. So it's going to take a long time to get back to normal for a lot of people in Jamaica. So I hope all goes well and that they don't have to suffer for too long in that
For
regard.
too long. Yeah, we keep forgetting that St. Vincent, you guys went through burial, and you have places like Dominica and,
Yeah.
and so on, that have, anytime hurricane comes, you guys always something, and we're happy that it missed you this time.
Yes, correct. Absolutely correct. Because it was coming to us and it should have been passing our part as a slight tropical storm, but it didn't come again. It just passed through as a tropical wave instead.
Yeah.
So clearly it was meant for one purpose only, I believe. And I'm not gonna get into that anyway.
Yeah, that's another thing. We want to focus on the people and
Absolutely.
getting aid to the people. And I know people in Barbados, because they know I'm Jamaican born. They're asking me about ways in which they can give, and I was happy from the time I spoke to this group of people that you can see what they're doing, and so on. And I know of Operation Blessings. They said that the World Health Kitchen, the first
Right.
time hearing of them, but they seem to be doing a good job. So those of you who want to help, go to ob.org and you will see the pictures, videos, what they're doing there, and then you can determine if you want to help. And we are encouraging people to help. Well, Mr. Cook, listen, what you're cooking today is 2:31. You started, I didn't start yet.
Yeah, well, I have stuff on the fire right now, but there's a fire there's a fire in my belly that I really have to deal with because this thing here. I mean, I like you say all the time, like you say all the time, we have to use the platform to educate people,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a worrying development here because if that means you and we have no rights under the constitution and privacy under the constitution. We're not talking about just some blogger coming out here and just putting people's business on the street because they want fame. You're talking about somebody in a government. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Correct. Yeah.
So this is dangerous precedent being set here. Again, Trinidad is on the wrong side of history, and who wants to get vexed and get vexed. And the point is, you have to ask yourself, what is his interest in doing that at this material time? What is his interest in doing that at this material time? What is the material time? There's an election in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You have to ask, what is his interest? The statement Gonsalves made about zone of peace was made almost a month ago. So why are you here now? So you have to ask yourself a lot of questions about people and why they do things. And secondly, you have to ask yourself, is Trinidad and Tobago a banana republic? How is their government so ramshackled? A minister can take documents belonging to government authorities like HDC and stuff like that and go on a private program, his show, not a government press conference? What kind of ramshackle government are they running down there in Trinidad? It has to be a banana republic. Because he's having this on a program, it's on a government sanctioned press conference to come and say, well, as a minister, we've seen some things that were done by foreigners, which we think may have been wrong, and we are going to investigate, but we're not going to name names at this time. It was not a government press conference to say that you're going to send HDC to investigate certain things that you see discrepancies, you think is discrepancies or wrongdoing. You know, it's your private show. How is that? What is that? What kind of government you're running, and then your prime minister saying you back your minister? Is it a banana republic you're running in Trinidad? No wonder the Americans can hold your hand and guide you and do what they want inside the Caribbean, because you're not running a government. It has to be a banana republic you're running.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me just say finally say, because my food burning and I gone, let me just say, because Angela and all of them could eat caviar and drink champagne, you understand? So let me go eat my yard food. Listen to me. Listen to me. I want to say last, there's something, and I think you know about it, man. There's something called doxing, eh?
Yes.
And that you can take people to court for that, eh?
Of course you can.
And there's also something as that can be deemed cases like this, if it ever ends up in a court, you can have something where something like this can head to a mistrial. You know why? Because you can declare it that it was a trial in the public because of excessive publicity. Trial by media. We've heard it around the world before. People get off because of it.
Correct.
So while me and you and others would love to know the truth, if there is corruption, while we would want to know that, we may end up not knowing it because you have this excessive publicity. Trial by media, it influences the jury and the judge. If there's a judge to go before, you can safely say, all the judges in Trinidad have heard about this already. You can safely say that.
And seen the documents. The documents. Yeah. And
exactly.
I agree with you.
Exactly. And people who may end up on the jury, you could safely say as well that they already seen 6, 7, 8 video of this from the same gentleman, and you can hand up
social media.
Exactly. So you end up having trial by jury, and you can get this whole thing thrown out because of that. Yeah. And then you and I may never know if there was corruption.
Yes. Yeah.
So people have to be very careful how they do things, and especially in government. Is a banana republic running down there? Is a banana republic Kamla running? It is a banana republic. And I will say it all the time.
Yeah, it's a good question that you're asking, and I will tell you this, that I am going to stay on top of this. I'm going to take for myself both sides. I want to understand. I've called when I this evening I have some people to talk to in Trinidad, and I want to get some understanding of what really happened. I am in full agreement, though I am in full agreement with you that all of that information didn't need to come out in that way. If there is corruption, I think they need to know, if these houses were wrongly acquired, where it's unprecedented so far, which I've heard from people in Trinidad that, the people that don't have any axe to grind, you know,
Yeah.
that 3 houses to 1 family, it's unprecedented. I want to know more. I want to know more. And that's just me. I want to get to the truth of it.
But it's not three. It's not three houses. It's not 3 houses to 1 family. It's 3 houses to 3 different members of 1 family. So that
Yeah,
again is another corruption.
yeah. So
That again is another ignorance being displayed around the place with that gentleman.
yeah. So, well, you know what? As I said, for me, I agree with you that the way it was done, is not. But I think I want to get down to. I want understanding for myself
Yes,
of
yes.
exactly the whole thing. Well, it's been a heated one. It's 2:38, and people are still on. Believe it or not, they're still
Just
on.
remember, just remember, just remember, just remember, you and I may never know the answer to these things because you have
We may
already have a
never.
trial in the public domain.
We may
And
never.
that can be contested in court and won.
Exactly.
And
We may
and,
never.
and then you have to ask yourself if they themselves wanted to know the truth down there in Trinidad, if they themselves want to know the truth, why are you trying it in the public?
Yeah, but
Why are
as
you
you
trying
said,
it in the public?
as you said, Mr. Cook, we might never know how I am. And that's why I'm in Barbados. I didn't do it on my show last night because I felt like I didn't do enough. You know, I didn't
Yeah.
understand it fully enough, and we had some other pressing issues. But I am, believe it or not, I'm staying with it, and I be as balanced as I can and bring both sides. Okay, but
Yeah.
thank you so much, Mr. Cook. It's always a pleasure. And I didn't start cooking yet, but I don't even know what I'm going to cook today. I was busy researching.
Listen me. Somebody's asking me why am I so upset? I'm
Mr. Cook,
upset
don't
because I
pay them
hate
any mind.
stupidness.
And go, Mr.
I hate
Mr. Cook,
ignorance. I hate brutishness.
your food burning up, Mr. Cook. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. All righty, guys.
Nah. I have to educate people and get them out their foolishness. That's what I have to do.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm Mad Master. Take it easy. Take care.
God bless. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Bye.